time that I've seen the house that I grew up in, and I don't really know what to say. It makes me sad too. This was a really, really special place for the Sobrow family, and I'm very sorry to see it go. And I'm very sorry for all of the residents of Pacific Palisades and everyone across the greater LA area that's going through this right now. I look around the town, the neighborhood, the place that I grew up in. I talk to my friends who I spent so much time with on these streets, and it's hard to imagine
the way that people have offered to help me tonight, the way that people are offering right now. We've seen it, whether it's donations or whether it's food delivery or whether it's Airbnb offering police stations to stay or community members just out in force today going door to door. We are in this to try and get through this as best we can. And because this is going to be a week as we begin 2025 that few of us will ever forget.
To say the least, and as we were talking about Lucy Jones last night, she brought that up, the psychological effect. You got to check on each other. That's what helps us gain control. It makes us stronger. We were a little worried about you last night in the Palisades. It was a bit harrowing, but as you said, you were with the fire department, so all is good. But tonight, we need you to check on your house, Robert, make sure everything's okay.
And what I want to do, and I will tell my neighbors and my friends and our viewers that, you know, so far we're all looking good. I don't believe there's been a structure. Limit to switch gears, but believe me, that firefight is so far from over. And I tried to, to contact people to let them know that the fire is still burning on Miami, and the fire is still burning on Las Vegas, and to see what you could possibly do. But it's very difficult because as you look at what is complete and utter destruction, most where you look, you're not going to be able to contact anyone when you're there. So
Bitch, but it's time to push this fucking button.
So please keep that in mind, everybody, moving forward. We are going to be hampered by a lack of cell service, and hopefully those towers will get back up soon, especially as the recovery efforts begin. But before you can talk recovery, we have a firefight that is still underway, as you've been talking about, and as you all, we have been on the air now for almost 2 straight days, 4 separate fires, and I can tell you that here tonight in the Hollywood Hills, we may have dodged right now a serious bullet.
Absolutely. And Robert, thank you for your coverage as always. We're seeing that shot there to the right of you, Robert. They're continuing to make water drops. That's good news. We've seen kind of a straight line of flames, Kathy, and that's actually getting better as well. But there's still a long night ahead for these firefighters. But the good news tonight is that, they're able to fight this from the air. Before we go to our meteorologist, David Bigger, I want to update our viewers. If you are watching us right now looking for primetime programming on NBC, that is being aired right now on our Cozy TV network. You can find that on the virtual channel 4-2, or you can check your cable guide to find that. But again, NBC primetime programming, if you're searching for that right now, that is being aired on Cozy TV on channel 4.2.
Let's get to the weather now. Meteorologist David Bigger is here with more on the winds and everything else we need to know as these fires continue to burn.
Well, Kathy, the amazing thing is if you compare this to this time yesterday, it's a completely different map. Right now, wind gusts 26 miles an hour in Van Nuys, 32-mile-per-hour gusts around Ontario, 23-mile-per-hour gusts around Santa Ana. So we still have some wind gusts out there. Some of them are on the stronger side, but this map yesterday was completely colored in, and we had gusts in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range at this point. This has been a huge improvement tonight. And as we go through the next couple of hours, we'll still have this offshore wind. In fact, it's going to linger likely into early Friday. That's part of the reason why the red flag warning has actually been extended into Friday across the region. And I'll show you that in just a second. But right now, around the Sunset Fire, here are the current conditions. Franklin Canyon Park, we're looking at gusts at about 20 miles an hour. Around WeHo, it's been about 15 to 20 miles an hour. But notice the wind directions for WeHo, it's out of the west. Around Franklin Canyon Park, it's out of the northwest. And what ends up happening is around these canyons and valleys in here, around the Hollywood Hills and the Santa Monica Mountains, you end up with a lot of channeling of the winds. That will switch the wind directions around. It'll make it a little bit erratic for firefighters to contend with. And we can also get some what we call Venturi effect, where you end up with a little bit of wind flowing into constricted area. It actually accelerates through the constricted area. You sometimes get that in the valleys and the canyons where the wind speed picks up. Here's what the Palisades fire looks like. This is where we still have some strong gusts. Santa Monica Mountain ridgeline wind gusts in about the mid 50 mile per hour range, so 54 miles an hour right now. Around Malibu Creek, 55 mile per hour wind gusts. As you get into the lower elevations, though, the wind gusts are a lot lighter. Around Topanga Beach, about 19 mile per hour wind gusts. Santa Monica, not even reporting wind gusts at this point. It's just light and variable winds. And then this has been the huge improvement compared to yesterday. We were seeing 70 mile per hour gusts last night around the Eden Canyon area. Now we're looking at just 3 mile per hour winds. So essentially it's calm winds, but still pretty dry out there. This will allow the firefighters to gain a little bit of an upper hand on battling the fire. I wanted to show you what the winds look like for the Inland Empire as we go through the next couple of hours and the next few days. This is a great example of what we're seeing around the entire region. 9 o'clock tonight, we still have some breezy conditions out there. We're looking at winds in about the 20 to 30 mile per hour gust range, at least. We're seeing some of that over the Orange County Mountains, but again, this is a huge improvement compared to what we had at this time yesterday. Now, as we go through the rest of the overnight hours, this is 2 o'clock in the morning for tomorrow. You can see that the winds are all relatively light across the IE. It will come back. We'll be watching for some strong wind gusts as we get into the afternoon. Not as strong as what we had last night, but still 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, a bit stronger in the mountains. That purple color in there, 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. But that will last all the way into early Friday morning before you start to see some changes. So this is 4 o'clock in the morning for Friday. This is why we still have high fire danger. We have gusty Santa Ana winds still. South of Cajon Pass, we're still seeing wind gusts in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range, or even stronger. Coming off the San Jacinto Mountains, we're looking at some very strong gusts, 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. But here's where the improvement happens. Watch what happens as we go through the rest of the day on Friday. The wind speeds come down, but the most important thing to note on here, look at these wind directions. They're all out of the west or the southwest. That is an onshore breeze that essentially will decrease the fire danger and sort of end this horrific event for our area, although the fires will likely still be continuing to burn. Here's what it looks like for Ventura County and LA County Valley spots. Just a little quick recap. As we go through the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow, we still have the offshore flow out there. As we go through Thursday, just like the IE, expect the winds to get gusty at times, but not as strong as we had last night. Still, though, seeing gusts in about that 30 to 50 mile per hour range, depending on location, so we'll still have some very high fire danger across the area. We'll be watching this very closely because we're already stretched pretty thin, but getting into Friday afternoon, it turns into an onshore breeze. Might be a bit gusty at times, but still, this is a dramatic improvement from the offshore, essentially now for well over 24 hours. So we're looking forward to this improvement, but this is Friday, so we still have some time to go through here. We will still have some gusty offshore winds going through tomorrow. Back to you.
So it seems like we've been through the worst of the winds so far, the gust. But I'm wondering, the choppers and the aircraft that are flying and doing the water drops are making the big difference for us. Will they be able to continue to fly, do you believe?
It's hard to say because it's their call to make on that. I definitely think there's a much better chance at that because we're not looking at wind gusts nearly at the intensity as last night. It almost feels weird to say this, but essentially what we're looking at for tomorrow into early Friday morning, that's a normal Santa Ana wind. If you kind of get what I'm getting at here, it's a typical. It'll still be very strong. It'll still be gusty in spots, but that's what we've seen with our last couple of Santa Ana wind events. And again, nothing like what we had last night. So we'll still have a lot of high fire danger, but not looking at 80 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts across some of our mountain spots. So I think they'll still be able to do an aerial attack as we go through the next couple of days.
All right, David Bigger there, thank you so much. We are now on hour 33, committed to staying on the air 24/7 as long as it takes to get you through these fires as we continue to cover these devastating wildfires in Los Angeles and in Altadena. To help with that, we have brought in reporters from our NBC and Telemundo stations from across the country,
including Daniel Ramirez from our affiliate in Las Vegas, and he joins us right now live from the bottom of Runyon Canyon. Welcome. Thank you. What's the latest from your vantage point, Daniel?
Thank you for the opportunity, Kathy, Jonathan. It looks like it's going to continue to be a long night for crews here with the Los Angeles Fire Department. Right now, we're currently located just in front of Runyon Canyon Park, and my photog will help me here, being able to see kind of just some of the flames, some of the embers that are showing here in parts of the mountain area here in the area of Hollywood with this fire that, like you guys mentioned, only started just a couple of hours ago. Currently, with the latest information, just a couple of acres, but especially in these types of situations, it's crucial being able to contain it. The sooner the better, especially with the wind gusts in this area. We've been able to see helicopters continuing to fly around in this zone, as well as the residential areas here where people are evacuating. We've seen them leave with their luggage from hotels, from apartment complexes here in this area in front of Runyon Canyon Park. And that's why, we've also seen a few that have been waiting for Ubers, waiting for family members, waiting for them to be picked up here in this area, while there's a lot that's unforeseen as to what the conditions might be for their homes once they get back. But thankfully, it seems like crews here with the Los Angeles Fire Department are doing a really good job, and it's obviously going to be an ongoing fight throughout the remainder of the night. And as you can see here, there's dozens of crews here on the ground, but certainly probably a few up higher in the higher elevations area here of Hollywood. So obviously, we'll continue our coverage here and stay on top of whatever goes on, and hopefully they're able to combat the flames head on. Sooner the better. Live from Hollywood, my name is Daniel Ramirez for NBC4. Back to you two in the studio.
Daniel, you're at the base of what was a historic property that turned into a park decades ago, Runyon Canyon, one of the most popular hiking spots in all of the city of Los Angeles. I know that you're visiting us from our sister station in Las Vegas, so we want to thank you for helping us out during this really tough time for our city. Have you been able to talk to anybody as you made your way up the hill to this area? Did you get a chance to speak to anybody who may be getting out, or they're in their cars, or anything of that nature, or even the firefighters themselves?
Yeah, definitely. We have been able to speak to a few people here in the area, mostly just a wave of emotions and just a lot to process in the moment. Including a few people here, residentials, thankfully, and just waiting with faith, with the hope that the flames don't make their way any further down the mountainside. And like you mentioned, the Runyon Canyon Park is an iconic area here in the Hollywood area, normally for people to be able to just explore, and just one of the iconic places here that maybe a lot of tourists, not just necessarily the people, the LA locals, but definitely for the tourists, that it's an attraction for them to be able to explore this area. But like you mentioned, we'll hopefully be able to see more of the results once the sun comes out in the next couple of hours, once in the AM hours of the day, to hopefully be able to see, hopefully not too bad of a result of the aftermath of the flames here tonight.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much. We want to check in right now with NBC4's Darsha Phillips. She's been in the Pacific Palisades covering the fires there. She was there all last night, and she is now live along PCH at Temescal Canyon with an update for us. Darsha?
Yeah, Kathy, we had to come down to PCH because a lot of the cell phone towers burned up in the Pacific Palisades, so we just simply don't have any reception. Now, I'm going to take a walk over here because I want to show you what's going on at Temescal Canyon. This is something that we've run into all throughout the Palisades. You can kind of see it. It's a little bit dark, but we've got power lines that have just are hanging really low, which is why you see the CHP officer there with the spotlight. They want to make sure that no one's going to get tangled in those power lines. So these are the things that we are seeing all across the Pacific Palisades. And I was here last night, obviously.
I'm Detective Lieutenant Elliott, and this is Trooper Wagner. We just want to ask a few questions. We understand the night of his demise, the family have gathered to celebrate your father's 85th birthday.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request that you all stay until the investigation is completed.
What? Can we ask why? Oh, it was great.
Destroyed destroyed by the fire. The grocery store really unrecognizable. Now, I do want to walk over this way, guys. I'm going to show you some more devastation here in Palisades Village. These are businesses just across the street that have been completely decimated also by the fire. They are unrecognizable. We're going to try and cross the street to kind of show you exactly what is happening here. I am really in complete awe as to what we are seeing here, because when we left about 1 o'clock in the morning, this morning, all of this was standing, and then it caught fire. We're jumping over some water here because, of course, we've seen water main breaks, lots of obstacles that first responders are having to navigate through. But take a look at what we are seeing right here. I couldn't even tell you what this was, some sort of business. And then if we can actually look past that, you see a chimney standing, because behind Sunset Boulevard are just rows and rows of homes. And to see these streets, what used to be neighborhoods, completely flattened by this fire is just really unimaginable. You cannot put words to the devastation that folks are going to come back to. We did speak to two people who were walking through their neighborhood. They didn't want to speak on camera, but they had tears in their eyes because they are looking around and they do not recognize the Palisades right now. If you turn around, we're going to also show you this building right here. I believe it's a bank. It is on fire still. So the wind is not as strong as it was last night, but we are still feeling wind. We still see active fire. We still see buildings that are burning right now. So lots of things that fire crews are still having to take a hold of, and it's still going to be a long day ahead of them, a long night, and several long weeks ahead for this community. We'll send it back to you. Okay, so that again was something that I taped earlier to kind of show the devastation in the Palisades. You're taking a quick look at people who are trying to get back up to their homes to make sure they're okay. They're not allowed to come up here by their cars, but they are allowed to bike or walk up.
Down, they can attack this fire like they normally do, and we're just hoping that that stays steady tonight. Back to you guys.
Our Gotti Schwartz there, NBC's Gotti Schwartz there on the ground in Hollywood. Gotti, we're having a little breakup with your shot right now, but one thing we were able to see, Gotti, when you showed us, is that we're talking about hot spots and flare-ups versus, Kathy, versus, what we were seeing even just an hour ago, this giant flames. The air support tonight has been fantastic, like Gotti mentioned, that those perfect water drops, something that was just not in the arsenal for firefighters last night.
No, it's incredible the way they do it, and Gotti, you pointed it out. They can just see exactly where they need to drop it, and that's the key. They're not wasting it. They are hitting it spot on, and it has made a huge difference.
It sure has, and it's so impressive to watch. Some of these helicopters are equipped with night vision. You can tell because they're coming in with no lights on. The other ones have those night suns that just they light up this neighborhood as they go over, and then they light up the hillside, and then it is that pinpoint accuracy, and you see it.
We may have lost Gotti's shot for good there. You can understand, the cell reception in these areas right now, not great, especially as more law enforcement and first responders move into that area. We do want to go to our Conan Nolan. He's been standing by above the Hollywood Hills there on Solar Drive. Conan, we've seen a lot of progress. In fact, right now, we don't even see many flames behind you compared to when we last spoke with you.
That's right. And Gotti, just a moment ago, he put it in pretty good terms as to the importance of timing, that this didn't happen yesterday. Yes, it looks a lot better. I believe our helicopter, the Chinook 47s, that is the QRF, the Rapid Quick Response Reaction Force. That is a public-private partnership with LA County Fire, Ventura County Fire, Orange County Fire Authority, and a private aviation, I believe Council Aviation. I'll check that in a moment. Show the video that we saw just a little while ago. This was the flame active fire here in Runyon Canyon as it was making its way down the canyon wall towards the homes down where Gotti was. Away from our location, Solar Drive, which is where so many of these homes would face calamity if we had a wind shift, if you have a dramatic gust that is propulsion of this fire, because it rapidly makes its way up the canyon wall, which is where we are. It goes down slowly. Of course, as we've said before, when it goes up the canyon, it preheats the vegetation ahead of it, which doesn't take long because it is so dry. The vegetation, the chaparral, the manzanita, the California scrub brush. That isn't a problem. Now, we do have a couple of engine companies here. Station 30 out of Hollywood. They know this neighborhood pretty well. They are here. Talk to them. Structure protection, just in case those flames make their way this way. But yeah, based on what we have seen earlier, there's such a difference between what we saw, the calamity, the horror that was the Pacific Palisades and continues to be, and what we saw in Altadena and Pasadena and the Eaton fire that started in Eaton Canyon, part of the Angeles National Forest, and it continues to burn. But from what we saw later this evening, the calamity there, the worst seems to be over in terms of, again, so many homes being put in harm's way in that fire. In this fire, when we first heard the call that there was a fire in the canyon here in Laurel Canyon, we are south of Mulholland, we are east of Laurel Canyon. We thought about the 1982 fire that lost scores of homes, and the fact that there's just so much of what we call the rural-urban interface, so many homes that butt against the rural wildland, and that is a beautiful place to live, but it's an awful place to be in the case of a fire. But as we said, yeah, some major, a dramatic change over the past 45 minutes from what we saw. Those that a gust of wind can ignite, adding the fuel, adding the oxygen to the fire. You're going to see a couple more spot fires in this general vicinity. So it's going to be a long evening, but this is a very promising sign.
Is a very good sight to see. All right, and we have some new information now. CAL FIRE is putting the acreage of this right now at 50 acres.
And we don't know how many people have been evacuated from the Sunset Fire evacuation zone right now, again, under mandatory evacuation orders, but we did get an update from the LA County Sheriff's Department tonight. They have set up an evacuation center for the Sunset Fire at the Pan Pacific Rec Center that's located at 7600 Beverly Boulevard in the city of Los Angeles. That is according to an update from the LA Fire Department. Again, an evacuation center now open for the Sunset Fire, established at the Pan Pacific Rec Center, located at 7600 Beverly Boulevard.
Progress being made because of the water drops, but also the weather tonight. Meteorologist David Bigger is here with more on conditions around the Sunset Fire.
About how there's still some spot fires in the area, and that will be continued focus for firefighters tonight. Even after they stop the forward progress of it, there's a lot of what we call moderate to heavy fuel in the area. That's the kind of fuel that once you ignite it, it burns for a while. It can burn for hours or even days. And they'll definitely be keeping an eye on that because it will likely still be smoldering as we see another little pickup in the winds as we get into tomorrow and early Friday. But again, it will not be nearly as strong as the winds last night. Here's a look at the current conditions out there near the Sunset Fire. Right now we have wind gusts around 25 miles an hour, a bit higher up in elevation. Closer to the floor here, closer to the base, and we're looking at WeHo seeing gusts about 10 miles an hour. And in Hollywood itself, it's just light and variable winds. But that's actually another interesting point to this. You see how the wind directions are kind of all over the place here. That is making it a little bit of a challenge for firefighters. But any of the winds flowing through some of these canyons and valleys are going to get channeled anyway, so you'll likely see some changing wind directions out there. Let me show you, though, I want to talk a little bit more about the Palisades fire. We're going to cover two things here. First, I'm going to talk about the conditions, and then I'm going to just show you the overall fire area and some of the communities that this has worked through. But right now, here's what we're looking at with the wind gusts around the ridge tops. So that would be both Malibu Creek and around the Santa Monica Mountains observation site. We're still seeing gusts and about the 45 to occasionally 55-mile-per-hour range. Otherwise, sustained winds about 25 to 40 miles an hour, depending on location. Down by Topanga Beach, ignore this wind direction. This observation site got burned by the fire, so it had a lot of trouble showing the wind direction. But the wind gusts are pretty consistent, about 24 miles an hour right now, and then light and variable winds around Santa Monica. The main concern that we have currently, aside from the gusty winds at ridgetop level, is that we're still looking at very low humidity, only about 10 to 15% right now around the fire. So let's zoom in a little bit closer. First of all, here's the whole area. So this is the Santa Monica Mountains. You can see the basin itself here. Here's the 4-5, so that's the support that it passed. And if I back up a bit more, here's Point Doom, so Malibu's in this area here. Now, as we zoom in, I wanted to show you some of the areas that fit within this burn scar, which does extend all the way up to about the crest of some of the peaks here in the Santa Monica Mountains. So eastern Malibu is in this, the Las Flores area is in it, Las Tunas Beach, Topanga Beach, and Topanga Canyon is right through here. And I remember when the fire initially started, it was reported initially in this area here and started spreading down quickly toward the ocean, down toward the beach, but also spread back this way and then kind of got initially hung up around the Topanga Canyon area. And we were wondering whether or not it had crossed, and it did cross. And as we went through the overnight hours last night, we didn't have any visuals of it. We were looking from satellite at what we call fire temperature, where the brighter the pixels are on the map, it means the more active the fire is. And you can see that there were two pockets of bright colors on our maps, and they were moving apart, meaning that the fire was spreading off to the west all night long. And then, of course, as we bring it back into the Santa Monica area, you can see why we've had so many evacuations Santa Monica region, because this is burned through the Pacific Palisades area. It's approached Riviera. I wanted to point out, though, this has likely changed this perimeter. There is still obviously active fire happening. We only get updates on this from time to time when firefighters actually have a chance to go check on the conditions and actually check the actual perimeter. But obviously, right now, they're busy fighting the fire. That's the latest on the conditions. I'll send it back to you.
All right, David, appreciate that. We want to now turn our attention to Alan Cozier. He's there live at La Brea and Hollywood, looking up towards the Sunset Fire. Alex.
All right, we don't have Alex right now. It's been kind of spotty there. We're going to get back to him in just a minute. If we can bring David back in to talk a little bit more about the map. I know, David, some of these areas that are on the outside of that map have been put on like an evacuation warning because it moved so quickly. They were just told you better be ready to move. So can you go through what some of those neighborhoods might be that are outside of the fire area?
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we'll zoom in once again here on this map. So, again, essentially, as we were watching this last night, it was expanding in two different directions. We had kind of one spot that was burning really intensely through Pacific Palisades itself. We had all of our reporters there last night, and we could see that it was burning intensely there. But as we looked from satellite, we can see that it was moving farther and farther west. And you can see, again, all of the area that this is covered. So essentially, from PCH, from the ocean, up to the ridge lines that you see when you're driving down PCH have likely burned. And this is all the way to the eastern Malibu area. So that gives you kind of a perspective of about how far west this has worked. And again, this has likely changed a little bit of this area here because there are still some more evacuation warnings in a few spots. And some of this area we've likely burned outside of because we just got this update earlier this afternoon. It's likely changed a bit. But as we work our way slowly off toward the east, you can see some of the other areas here, like it burned through part of Topanga Canyon here. Here's the 27, for instance. One of the concerns that we have, if I can kind of start to look a little bit farther into the future here, Kathy and Michael, one of the concerns we have is now we have a huge burn scar. Eventually, we will get rainfall at some point. I really hope that we get rain at some point soon because we've only had just about 0.2 of an inch of rain so far this season. We really need to get some more. We're about 4 inches behind average. But I hope whatever rain we get is very gradual and slow because this is now our new prime concern for any mudslides as we go through the next couple of winter months and even into next winter. It's going to take some time to grow back. It's usually about a season or two before we have enough growth that heavy rainfall starts to be a little bit less of a concern. But this is definitely all the areas we're going to be watching. We've already seen when we had heavy rain last season, We had rock slides and all sorts of stuff happening throughout some of our canyon roadways, including Topanga Canyon. We're likely going to have that problem popping up once again the next time it rains. And then working our way back closer to Santa Monica, you can see here's Will Rogers Beach, for example. That's Riviera Country Club. That's kind of about how far we've been watching. That's why there's all those evacuation warnings posted. Back to you.
All right, David, I'm going to give it a second try here. We're going to now toss things out to Tracy Leong, who's keeping an eye on what's happening out in Altadena. Tracy.
Yeah, we are on West Palm near Lincoln, where as Sean Browning, my photographer, and I were driving around, we just noticed hundreds of homes destroyed in this neighborhood, including the one right behind me. You can see there is still smoke and fire smoldering inside this garage. This car completely destroyed. These homes nearby completely gutted. We don't see a lot of active raging flames as we drove through, and just a difference that the weather we've seen in the last 24 hours. This time yesterday we could barely stand because of those strong winds, which were fueling those flames and caused it to spread all over this area. Here's a look at something we shot earlier tonight when we were on Lake Avenue, where we saw dozens of businesses destroyed. We saw firefighters actively working to put out the flames. Here on Lake Avenue near Beverly, and take a look around. It looks like a war zone. Across the street, all these businesses either completely destroyed, some still burning and smoldering as we speak. Sean Browning is giving you a look at the Bank of America building just right across the street from Chase Bank, and you can see it's just going up in flames. Some fire crews pull up, but because of the extent, those intense flames, it looks like they are trying to put some water. They are using a defensive pipe on the bottom. At the front door,
number
looks like they're spraying water in.
Número 12, pendeja, tu mamá baboso, ándale, cabrón. You bitch.
And those are just wild flames that are shooting out the back of the building. And just to the right of Bank of America, several stores and businesses, restaurants completely destroyed. There's a lot of fire trucks, a lot of crews out here. We're trying to get a better angle on this. Just take a look over here, Sean, to the left, where we see these buildings as well. It looks like there are multiple homes just down the street. We're on Beverly Way that are burning down.
Bullshit,
and across,
man.
completely destroyed.
No,
Like this,
no,
they
go
burn
that
to
way.
the ground.
You kill, they kill you.
This is
They
just
kill you,
so
not
much
that way. Go
destruction
the
that
other
we are
way. Go
seeing
right,
out here,
right.
and that smoke causing
Go
air
east,
quality
east,
right now.
east.
This
You
is like
die,
a church, and
motherfucker.
then take a look at the Bank of America building.
Listen,
All those
listen,
embers
listen.
flying up into the air, and the winds, not as strong as what we saw last night, but those winds are still picking up those flames. They're still picking up those embers, and there are still a lot of buildings and businesses on this street, on Lake Avenue. This is one of the main roads that takes you through Altadena that have not burned down. So the concern is protecting those other businesses that are at risk of going up in flames as well. And as Sean and I drove up Lake Avenue,
Sense it.
all right, and we shot that around 5:30 tonight. And back out here, we're in the North Arroyo neighborhood where these streets are blocked off. And one of the main concerns is there's a lot of downed power lines after those fires whipped through these neighborhoods. It caused a lot of these trees to fall on power lines and power lines to just snap. So that's a big concern. We're also seeing officers driving through this neighborhood to make sure that these homes are protected and to ensure that looters don't come in and try and take advantage of a lot of these homes, since many people have left and evacuated, or the homes are destroyed and there's no one here protecting or guarding them. But that's the very latest. Reporting live in Altadena. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Tracy Leong live for us there in Altadena. We want to switch gears now, send things over to Robert Garbutt live for us in the Hollywood Hills. And the very latest now on the Sunset Fire. Robert.
Well, the very latest is you're talking about acreage and,
Family proof your family with Life 360.
Right? Onion Canyon, but this is Nichols Canyon, and the fire has sparked here due to an ember. They've already hit it with a water drop, and what also we have seen is, you know, Michael and Kathy, we talked about how we need to help each other. We all help each other. Well, right now you see there's people down there. These were people who were trying their best to put out the fire on their own. The LAPD continues to circle, continues to remind people to please evacuate the area immediately, because though you think I don't see flames, it's safe to go home now, I can spend the night in my own bed. This little ember, and what was a fire here, before they hit it with the chopper from above, as they get ready to hit it from all of these trucks that you see right now, all of these trucks to try and take care of this little spot fire, is the reason why it is still a very dangerous place to be right now, as much of Southern California continues to be a very dangerous place to be. Suma, I don't know if you can see that eucalyptus tree right there, but you can show people just to your left of where the fire, of the wind that still continues to flow here and to blow here in the Hollywood Hills. So this is your example, everybody. This is the perfect example of exactly what can happen tonight, of what we have witnessed throughout the last 48 hours. Just one ember can start trouble. And when we talk about trouble, this could take off here in Nichols Canyon and just shoot right up the hill. Where the fire, the base of the fire is, can't even see it. Don't even know where it is. It's somewhere over there near Runyon. But right now, an ember, one single ember, maybe a couple, started what we're looking at here. And a short time ago, it was far worse until they hit it with the aerial assault above. And right now, you see here, you've got a number of people from LAFD that are coming to it. But again, let me just show you right here. We've got neighbors who are filling up. That those people who decided they weren't going to evacuate, they filled up and they tried to get the water on the fire. And as we were driving down Nichols Canyon, we saw them just taking care of other little spot fires, just little fires on the side of the road. But you know, it only takes a little fire. How did Palisades burn? It only took a little fire in the backyard to create this. How did this fire start? It only takes a little fire. So this little fire could possibly become something else indeed. And that is why we have the LAFD here. That is why they're hitting it from the air and why they're about to hit it from the ground. And that is why we see the LAPD continuing to circle and telling people to please get out, because this is not over yet.
All right, Robert Kovacic reporting live for us. Robert, thank you. To get a real perspective on how tremendous the firefight has been on this since it first broke out at about 5:30 this afternoon, we're going to go back topside actually, to Julia Deng in News Chopper 4. Julia, in just what, 3.5 hours, look at the progress on this.
Yeah, this is a very different picture, Colleen. We spotted this from miles out when we were over the Palisades fire earlier. When I signed off with you guys about an hour ago, we had to land and get fuel. It did not look like this. I'm going to zoom all the way out and show you what we're seeing from about 3,000 feet above where Robert was just reporting from. We were worried about that eastern flank earlier. That was burning out of control. We don't see any of those active flames anymore. The back of this fire, the northernmost portion of it, that's also completely knocked out. It was this western portion they attacked first, especially using LAFD helicopters because this was so close to homes. You can see those LAPD officers still on the ground. Robert pointed that out. They're still going door to door, making sure everybody got out okay. But we don't see flames here anymore. We do have some of these hot spots. You can see embers still flying through the air. We've got a little bit of flaming debris, especially down below the heel of the fire, the southernmost portion of it. But for the most part, it looks to me like this is under control. As I zoom back out and move the camera to the south, you can see the traffic in Hollywood has lightened up as well. Earlier, we had thousands of people trying to get out. Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, Franklin Avenue, all completely backed out as firefighters were starting to try and get in as well. But look at this. Very different picture. Something new that's happening now that we didn't notice earlier. These LAFD helicopters, they're not just doing water drops now, but they're flying around the perimeter of this fire. They have their night sun lights on, that bright spotlight. And I know our viewers are familiar with that because that's what we see during police pursuits from the law enforcement airships. But it looks like they're trying to scope out where the problem areas might be, which areas of dry brush might flare up again. And that's where they're flying down low, circling around, and then coming back to do water drops. We still have LAFD helicopters up here. At last count, we had 3 up here with News Chopper 4. So they're going back and forth, picking up more water and continuing to do these water drops. Look over here, shining that bright light, dropping more water. This part of the fire, the heel of the fire to the south, still burning. I'm going to go in tight and just give you one last look at this before we clear out and head back out west. That's where the Palisades fire is still burning out of control tonight.
All right, Julia, thank you. We want to let you know that the latest acreage we have on this is 50 acres burned so far. 0% containment, and no doubt that has to do with the number of hotspots out there and the fact that firefighters will be out there trying to get the upper hand on these and watching them throughout the evening.
All right, Julia Dang keeping a very close eye on this, going to make her way over to the Palisades fire here, also one of the biggest fires burning here in Southern California. Of course, we are committed to staying on the air 24/7 to bring you the very latest on these devastating wildfires. And with that, to help us with that, we have brought in reporters from our NBC and Telemundo stations across the country, including Dave Summers from our affiliate in San Diego. He joins us live now from Altadena. Dave.
Yeah, we're on Mendocino Street near Lake Avenue, and we may be in front of the last standing home or structure in this 3-block area. We've seen 2 walls come down already, and 2 more still standing. And based on what we have seen here, they won't be up too much longer. What we're paying attention to, and I'm sure firefighters are as well, is the wind. It is considerably less strong than last night. And as you see this ash flow going up and over the tree, that's going anywhere from 100 to 200 feet, not a mile or 2 miles, which is what we were experiencing, obviously, last night with those gusting winds. So there's 2 jobs tonight for firefighters, really. The first is tactical patrol. And tactical patrol is when firefighters are out in the neighborhoods and they're looking for hot spots, or they're looking for small fires flared up in landscape or in front of or near homes that are still preserved, that are not burned. And so they want to make sure they keep those under control. And then, of course, the other is exposure protection, which we showed you an example of a few hours ago. We were by a home completely engulfed in flames, but firefighters were there, 2 of them, with a 2-inch line just kind of drowning the house next to it, to make sure that it didn't catch fire, rather than spend 6 firefighters to put out the flames right next door. And this really has been a lot of the strategy these last 2 days. The sense of the firefighting here is that if it's already on fire, if there's already a fire inside the home, rather than spend the manpower and the time to put it out and risk 6 other homes catching fire someplace else, they're letting that burn and protecting the homes that are untouched instead. And this is just how it's been between the number of people they have to work, the time, the water supply, and the winds. This has been the strategy, and it continues tonight. The wind here tonight is actually not bad. We have really mild temperatures, and the wind itself is more like a breeze. It's not exceptionally cold, which is probably helpful, and it is certainly not the wind that we were experiencing last night.
Dave, we know you've been out there on the Altadena fire, the Eden fire, all day long. What is the thing that has struck you the most about all of this?
Well, I'm getting to know the community. As you mentioned, I came up from San Diego just to lend a hand, and I'm really getting to know the community. It's just really wonderful people, and this is an area they tell me that is an historic area. A lot of remodeled homes and a lot of small homes on larger properties and multiple structures on larger properties, and many of which have been burned down. So it's a shared sadness, obviously. And I also noticed, just some of the things that people were pulled out away from their house so they wouldn't get burned. And it's a very sad moment to see the things that were pulled out, antique chairs or coffee tables. And you could just kind of see, based on what was pulled out, you could just kind of see the panic in all of this, in the suddenness of all of it, and that kind of one of the things that really struck me. And of course, the other thing is what all the reporters have been talking around, all in these areas in the Palisades, here and elsewhere. So many homes destroyed. When I showed up this afternoon, the number was about 100 here, and there's got to be 500. It seems like the majority of the homes in the neighborhoods that we've been in have been destroyed, and very few are still there. I also found out that some of the homes that were salvaged. The homeowners are telling me that they waited it out, and they kept their hoses going and their irrigation systems going, and just kept wetting down the roof in the house. And they've all felt like that certainly helped. But as you know, and as we've seen, in some cases, no matter what you do, you're just not going to save the house when the wind is going that hard, and the fires are burning so fast, and the ashes are flying so fast and going so far.
One other quick question before we let you go on this. We heard the sheriff say his presence through any of these neighborhoods at all, trying to stave off that, and hopefully so that people are not victimized twice.
Yeah, that's a sad moment. I want to share a moment that we experienced out here. But to answer your question, yeah, we've seen a number of sheriff's deputies out here from different parts of Los Angeles County, so there's definitely a presence. You definitely see the vehicles and the uniforms, and you definitely see the protection, and that's what they're doing. They're looking at that, and really it also helps that tactical patrol that I was telling you about. When you got firefighters roaming the neighborhoods and shining lights on places, that certainly helps as well. But we had a circumstance earlier tonight where we were here in Altadena in front of a home that was on fire, and two people came up. One of them was photographing the home, and the other person picked up a bucket and just started collecting things off the front of the lawn. And and like any decent person, we wanted to intercede and say, "What are you doing? Do you live here?" And he indicated, "Oh, I just thought, that the owner wouldn't mind if I took these things." It was awful. I mean, it's just indecent, and that is certainly going on, and we witnessed it firsthand.
Unbelievable story to hear that you even witnessed that happening when someone is in the midst of the most vulnerable point in their life,
And the good news, he dropped the bucket and quickly left. So thankfully, but this is definitely going on out here. It is a very real possibility.
You shamed him out of it. All right. We appreciate it. We'll check in with you in just a bit. All right, folks, it's at 9 o'clock, and we are now in our 34th hour of nonstop coverage of the wildfires just burning across Southern California. And if you're looking for primetime programming, a little note here for you. That is over on Cozy TV.
Right now, we're closely tracking the Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills. That's near Runyon Canyon. Mandatory evacuation order is now in place for people who live around the Sunset Fire. That order is for Laurel Canyon to Mulholland Drive, to the 101 freeway, and to the Hollywood Boulevard area as well.
New numbers just into our newsroom here. The Sunset Fire has now burned at least 50 acres. News Shot Report was overhead, and you can see the orange glow here. Mandatory evacuation order is underway within the last 2 hours. We have seen a whole lot of water drops out there from choppers tonight.
That's the really good news.
Yeah.
The difference between today and yesterday. Meantime, the Palisades fire has burned close to 16,000 acres. No containment in sight so far. Evacuation orders have been extended for areas of Santa Monica, and they include areas north of Montana Avenue between 11th and PCH. The evacuation order for parts of north of San Vicente still in place. There's also a boil water advisory for the Sunset Mesa community. The zip code there, 90272.
On now to the Eaton fire. That fire has burned 10,600 acres, and it's still growing. At least 5 people have been killed, and more than 1,000 buildings have been destroyed. Those include homes and businesses. City leaders out there now asking people to leave the fire area, stay out of that area so that firefighters can work. There are still active fires burning there.
There are also evacuation centers at the Pasadena Convention Center and the Arcadia Community Center. We begin our team coverage tonight with meteorologist David Bigger. And David, you heard Dave Summers talk about the wind situation in Altadena right now. Very, very good news.
Yeah, it is very good news. The winds are much lighter across the entire region, and we can actually see this again from space using our fire temperature look from satellite here. The brighter the pixels are, the more intense the fire is burning. Last night, it was a bright ball right here where the Eden fire is. Right now, it's very faint. You probably can't see it on the screen. However, around the Palisades fire, it is still burning, although right now, and I bet when we eventually check it with News Chopper 4, it seems to be that eastern flank of the fire that's closer to Santa Monica that seems the most active right now. Let's talk a little bit about some of the winds we're seeing around the region. Colleen just mentioned that the winds around the Eden fire are much better, and you can see that that is the case. We've got calm winds out there right now, currently, not seeing any gusts being reported. The only spot reporting any wind is Sierra Madre, and it's only about 3 miles an hour, so it's barely a perceptible wind. And the humidity still kind of hovering in that low territory, about 15 to 25%, depending on location. That's where it's been about the last couple of hours or so. As you take a look at the areas around the Sunset Fire, which is in the Runyon Canyon area, we are looking at still gusts about 25 miles an hour around Franklin Canyon Park. The important thing that we've paid attention to here is that it's only 8% humidity. It is extremely dry right now in the air around this fire. And around the WeHo area, we've had gusts about 15 to 20 miles an hour. And around Hollywood, we're occasionally seeing gusts now starting to pick up about the 10 to 20 mile per hour range. But the interesting thing is, look at all the wind directions here. For Hollywood, the observation site there, the northeasterly wind. For WeHo, northwest wind. For Franklin Canyon, it's a north wind. We're getting a little bit of some shifting winds, making it a little bit challenging for firefighters. Obviously, we'll want to pay attention to where any of those embers are blowing. And then, of course, around the Palisades fire, right now we still have some very gusty winds along the ridge tops, 45 to 50 mile per hour gusts being reported at our 2 highest observation sites in the area. A bit lower down, we are looking at wind gusts in about the 20 to 25 mile per hour range around Topanga Beach, and it is starting to get a bit gustier currently around Santa Monica, but otherwise the winds are still relatively light. I wanted to point out we still have a red flag warning that remains in effect now all the way until Friday. It has been extended for a good chunk of the area, and the reason why is because we'll still see earlier this morning. Here's what it looks like by 10 o'clock this evening. We still have some wind coming out of the Calm Pass, for example, in the IE. But as we go into early Thursday morning, initially the winds get light before they ramp up getting into the afternoon, and we're back into the 30 to 45 mile per hour range. Still very gusty, just not as strong as last night. And obviously this is still concerning because we will still have very high fire danger across the region. It's not until we get into the overnight hours that we start to see some improvements. This is Friday at 4 a.m.
Bitch. These bitches, bro. When we did that? Way back there, a long time ago. Bitch ass Mary. Mary. You dead, motherfucker. Dead. You're gonna kill Mary. I forgot I was playing this game, bro. I was playing a different game. Mary, you dead. Mary not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, Mary. But you gonna kill Mary ass. Told you. Bye bye, Mary. Who come in to help Mary? Who come in to help Mary? Lots of enemy on Mary ass. Yo, Mary Bumper, you dead. You dead. Below. Bill, you dead below. To pick up. What's this spices? Pick up. Pick up. Tuki Parker. Tuki Parker. Tuki Parker. Did the right thing. That fucker got behind that truck. That's the only way you could save his bitch ass, bro. That nigga dead anyways, bro. Yup. They gonna light y'all asses up. Look where you gonna stop him. Bad spot to stop him. Bad spot. Bad spot. Y'all dead, bro. Coming for y'all, bro. They're too dead, bro. Told you. Get in the car. Drive the car, idiot. All he had to do was drive the car. He dumb. He run out the vehicle. So he gonna get his special gun. He dead, bro. Y'all dead, bro. Let them nigga die. Dumbass number one. Below. Below could have died in the fucking truck and drive out. Dumbass. Yep. Time for you to die too, bro. Exactly. Yep. Sniping you. They're sniping you, dumb fuck. You gonna lay down. Niggas are dumb, bro. Some dumb niggas again, bro. Damn! Bro, I'm out of here. It's some dumb paisas, bro. Very stupid paisas, bro. Nigga do dumb shit, bro. Nothing with common sense, bro. Shit get me fucking mad, bro. They do nothing with common sense. They do some stupid ass shit to nigga in, bro. Fuck you over there being a bitch. Then get your suck ass over here, bro. Stay alive, bro. Stop dying, bro. Fucking die too easy, man. You see what Prism chat say?
some of the Hollywood fire, LA fire units. Hollywood, I believe, Station 30 was up here, 35, and it's worked. Now, it's not over.